The world transformation movement, the great transformation, this is happening on a cellular level. And it goes deep into what we call birth pains. And birth pains affect people differently. And most people in the world are oblivious. Right now, people all over the world have fatigue, insomnia, disorientated, brain fog. Many people suffering vertigo, dizzy spells, can't sleep. There's a lot of stress, fear, pain, confusion, frustration, delusion, paranoia. And these things are escalating all over the world. When you consider everybody's telling you, worldwide, 75 to 95% of people are taking some kind of medication for some kind of stress-related problem. Stress has now been proven that every single thing you suffer from and die prematurely from is stress-related. From 2% in 1960 to 98.7% today. This is Armageddon. This is what the end time is all about. People suffering from the illusion, the delusion, and the placebo effect that's anti-clockwise in everyone's DNA. And DNA has been declared the book of life for a reason. There is not too many people in the world right now that can explain the transformation because they do not know what they do with the mind. The mind is unaware of the outside influence that controls your reality. You see, people are trapped in self-centered ego into themselves. Your intuitive codependent power is the quantum mechanics of a relationship, the one you do not have. And when you're so disconnected from life, nature, and all the things you're in harmony with that codependent relationship, you have no idea what you're doing. The relationship is codependent. Your intuitive codependent power is divine power to command nature. Today, we're in the greatest time to be alive, and if you get it wrong, you'll be in the worst. The worst time to be alive, or the greatest. There is no other choice. You can either cross over and go through the rebirth and face the birth pains, or not. Mastermind Shi Heng is #1 mastermind in Europe. I've been sharing his videos lately because I've been on a genetic ancestral process for 2 months. And it started 5 months ago, when I started vomiting blood with cancer riddled all over my body. I went to the doctors 2.5 months ago to the hospital. They said I'm riddled. And I had lymph nodes swelled up everywhere. Went into a massive process. Went to Norway, into detox, and went into breath work. Very dramatic process. That's why you must pay attention to those who know, not those that think they know. This will help every single one of you through this process. no matter who you are, where you come from, or what you believe in. Excuse me. I have to take my time. I have to take a deep breath. Listen to my grammar. Listen to my selection. Because we're going to a natural selection, a natural order. And nature will take its own course. And when it does that, and you give it consent, you allow the outside to come in and control your vessel correctly with the correct grammar, which has the right intuitive codependent notes. Your balance, your frequency, your harmony is so far out of whack with the human conditioning that you've been conditioned into. We suffer the human condition in every single human being on earth from so much unnatural selection that's been engineered and programmed into our mind with the placebo effect that we're oblivious to. We've lost our feelings. The greatest wisdom's always been, never believe nothing you hear. Only believe half what you see, but trust what you feel. God gave you that gift to feel with your gut feeling, survival mode, the very preservation mode for life. To think instinctively is to think outside the mind, not with the mind that oppresses you. Every human being on earth can only use between 10 and 16% of their brain. With the highest IQ in the world. A mastermind can master his own mind and use 100%. He knows more than anybody else. No one that can use the highest IQ in the world and any more than 15% of their brain has any idea of the facts that 85% of the brain is brain fog. Look at the movie Limitless with the drug. Bang. He gets a clarification. He comes out of his shell and looks back at himself. And a massive clarification with sevenfold wisdom and knowledge, a universal language. They know in the movies, and you think you know better? Have you ever activated to use 100% of your brain without brain fog, without mental disorders, without gene defects? Do you know what it feels like? Then stop deluding people. Stop living in your illusion. Imagine love 10 times more powerful than anything you felt in your life. You do not know what you're missing out on. So stop pretending and lying to everybody else. Until you go through the birth pains, you'll never know. We cross you over through the rebirth and go through a genetic process, a transformation that Christ taught, and he went through in 40 days. Enoch, Elijah, Moses, Abraham took 40 years. As Jeremy Griffith says, who wrote the book Freedom, the cure of the human condition that's going to save humanity. They found the large human beings born on earth that can do every single thing that Christ can and more, and not suffer. Those people are far more advanced than any other liar or actor on a screen. It makes me sick to the bone with all the lies and all the actors all over the world that pay no attention, only to themselves. Their self-centered behaviour, thinking they know when they know nothing. Nothing at all. 3 months I was vomiting blood every day. Vomiting blood. Went into process, detox and deep breathing, and work with the Holy Breath of Life. Activate my Neuralinks. Vomiting, infection every day, filling up tubs like this, right? Filling up tubs of ugly looking stuff every day, detoxing. going through a process you couldn't even begin to imagine. But I want to help you understand something. When as a child, I had stress and anxiety. I was scared. I had bipolar. I had a serious car accident at 20 that changed my posture and screwed my back so much you got no idea. It affected me my whole life, shaped who I am, my character. You know, every human being on earth carries so much luggage from damage, sickness, injuries, or bad things done to them, or bad things they've done. And it shapes your character. I love people's spirituality, but I can't stand their personality and their filthy low-life mentality, because they're not who you think they are. They're a character who depends on all their mentality and their personality and have zero spirituality. They can't even use their natural organic medicines and have no faith in them. You have mental telepathy, ESP, promote you in telekinesis, levitation, movement, clock warning, following space and time with deja vu, predict the future, prevent what's going to happen. And it doesn't work. You have real love, unconditional loyalty, honor, respect, moral impulse, inspiration, encouragement. You are intuitive, codependent power that gives you the God-given power so that no weapon formed against you can prosper. You know, everyone thinks they know and wants that kind of attention and delude people into another comfort zone. And you live in a long, dark tunnel with thousands of comfort zones, thousands of unnatural selections. And all you do is keep jumping from one comfort zone to another. But you ever stick your head through the light in the tunnel? Crossed over? When people die and go to heaven, they don't want to come back. They have the most powerful clarification. And they feel love pouring all over them. And it's the only thing they feel. Freedom and liberation beyond anything on earth. And they never want to come back. And they always come back for the same reason. They didn't have the relationship. And it's all about themselves. I died in 2012. I went through a massive process, as I've made many videos about. I was hit by a drunk driver at 100 miles an hour at 20 years old in 1980. I was a putrid junkie, right? Went from 74 kilos to 51. Half my mates died on drugs. 3 died in my arms. Rejected by my parents as a black sheep of the family. Rejected at school, got my head punched in every day, fapping red and pickles. My mum said, my dad said, oh yeah, I know exactly what their parents are like. You know, when you're rejected so much and abandoned so much and no love, and you're picked on all the time, you suffer. And I suffered. I suffered and took my own life at 18 years old. I was drowned in a bathtub at 2 years old by a jealous boyfriend of my mum's. And then I flatlined at 18 with a drug overdose. At 20, I got hit by a drunk driver. I sat in my bedroom for 3.5 weeks, never touched drugs ever again. I went to see doctors about getting off drugs. They couldn't help me. I was on my own. The accident, in 3.5 weeks, I sat in my bedroom for 3.5 weeks. I transformed, never took drugs again, changed my whole life. That was the first transformation I went through. I had several in my life, I've explained many, many times. So in 2008, they found my DNA in prison, and the first person ever recorded to cure bipolar, stress, fear, and anxiety. Did I cure it? Or did I hide it so well they couldn't pick it? Because you learn to live with it. You learn to manage it, but you cure it. No, you don't. So they were wrong. As you know better than they do. The injuries from my back was so bad with both psychiatric nurses, I lost 4 pillows in my spinal cord. I've been bedridden for 2 or 3 weeks, several occasions. When I come to jail, I was on a mattress this thick with plastic. Couldn't sleep for 7 years because of my back. When I was young, I took opiates. At 40 years old in prison, I started taking Lyric and Tramadol and got trapped on it till 2019. The damage is phenomenal. And today on an MRI, it's beyond most advanced and cannot be operated on. I keep driving manual cars and it kills me. Yet I know using my left-hand leg on a clutch pedal destroys my back. I have been pushing that pressure and living in denial about the pain myself, and slowly catches up with you. When we go into genetic process, we are repairing the human conditioning and a cellular structure, cellular level. And it means you have to break all that damage and cure that damage that you've been carrying throughout your whole life. And it starts with stage 4 cancer riddled all over my lungs, vomiting blood, and stomach pains from my sciatic nerves that controls my whole way of breathing. Breaking through breath work and breaking through all that genetic damage. Each and every human being on earth has 600 to 6,000 defective genes and more damage than you can imagine. When you cross over through the rebirth, you go through a transformation. And I put up Mastermind Xi videos who explains a lot about these transformation and how your posture will change and how this is not easy. Birth pains. Look, if you can do a cross scan and be a positive bloodline, if you have the divine power to command nature, if you can do every single thing that Christ can and more, we know you can. I am the most powerful, solid evidence recorded in modern history. And I sat down with the top biologists and think tank in the world. 2016, they said, Kim, through this genetic process and transformation, you are leading society as one of a kind. We see the transformation in hospitals. We see the miracles you created. Things we cannot explain. That's so far beyond the mind, we cannot explain. But DNA doesn't lie. I explained in my videos that when I died in 2012, I went for a fantastic, unbelievable transformation for 3.5 years and then sat down with this kind of information. Then things began to unfold. I've been teaching here for 5 years. I told you we are going through a transformation and being brought back into our primordial state so we can do a Christ kind of more in a new era, in a new timeline, while the rest of the world goes in a sixth mass extinction, stripped from the sixth sense for the sixth time. Those that think instinctive with their sixth sense will tune out the program and no weapon from Nickens can prosper. The last 2 months, I cannot walk. My back is like broken, right? I have a carer here for me. I'm that bad. I have never experienced more pain in my life. These birth pains is breaking my posture, breaking my back, and all the injuries that I carry. And let me tell you, they are birth pains, and I face a death experience every day. I choke, can't walk, collapsed. Marion's been watching me. But you know what? Excuse me. I stopped making videos for this reason. But by request, I'm giving an update. If you understand what you're going through with this transformation, you understand why you suffer the way you do and why it's individual. No two are the same. I'm getting an extensive education on this when I get through this. But can you imagine, for one moment, everything you suffered your whole life in, every single thing you suffer from your whole life, imagine going through the transformation of breaking free. So you're perfect. Like Christ, perfect. And you feel heaven on earth. 10 times more powerful than any high and any love and any clarification you've ever had in your life. It'll come to you. The process I've gone through for the last 2.5 months, it's extensive. And it's birth pains. And if you're a chosen one, you will have different levels and different outcomes. More than 5 of my followers, like Jay, is going through very dramatic birth pains. And it's not what you think. The mind does not understand. And one day things will be fantastic. The next day will be like hell. One day you'll be moving leaps and bounds forwards. The next you'll be going that far backwards, you think you're going to hell. It's that bad. It's not easy. And these birth pains, believe me, I have never suffered more pain and more suffering ever in my life than the one going through right now. And that's why I stopped making videos. Because trying to make a video right now is taking my breath away. And I can't breathe. And I do the holy breath work every day for a reason. A special process. A very unique process. Nature will take its own course. And you have to allow it to do that. You cannot explain. It's not about he who said, she said, or any guru. It's about you. It's about your own individual process. But when you get selected naturally, by natural order, your mind is so unnatural with unnatural selection that's been conditioned to come into sight to you with a natural order, with a natural process. Nature will take its own course. And your mind tries to control the situation and prevents that from happening. Get out of your mind. Get right back in your innocence. And let the source, the power, the light, the energy, the Father come inside you and do what needs to be done. And it's not easy. It is the most powerful thing in the world, birth pains. And every human on earth right now is experiencing stress, fear, anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion, and paranoia. And that's for a reason. Are you going to stand up to the plate? Or are you controlled by fear that much you do not know what you do? Get out of your mind. Because if you don't, you will suffer the consequences so deep and so profoundly that I'm telling you now, wormwood. You're coming the time of wormwood now in the 7-year crossover. Wormwood is the bitterness and the grief that's going to accelerate 7 times faster. I'm telling you now, I put you through the crossover in 40 days through the rebirth. And that's when you're chosen and go through the natural selection with a natural order. You go through the great transformation in your DNA, the book of life, to go back into the primal state, to live to be 1,000 years old and never suffer the consequences ever again. And believe me, it's not easy. But when you listen to all my information correctly, Everything Mastermind Shi Hing tells you in all the videos I've been placing and sharing the last 2 months is what I've been teaching you for 5 years. And my book, The Testimony of a Drug Reborn, where I bring the cure of the human conditioning to humanity and also give you a full rundown of the exact genetic process of the transformation that we're going through. Because I have to go through everything myself. I myself is your test pilot and your greatest teacher that knows every single thing about resurrection and going through this process where we can do what Christ can and more. And it's not a joke. Your own perceived effect becomes your reality. You throw stones at me, you throw stones at yourself. You criticize me and run me down, you destroy yourself, because 99% of you out there are toxic mentality and spread cancer like a wildfire, because cancer comes out of your mouth. That's how artificial that you've become today, that you are nothing but toxic mentality spreading that virus that affects everybody else. And that's what you do to your kids. And you don't believe in that? Listen to the garbage and the rubbish that comes out of your mouth. Noise, no action. And action speaks louder than words, and words mean nothing when you're just a Hollywood character who wants to make a name for yourself. Well, believe me, you go hard with what you believe in. But if you don't bring the birth pains, you'll never be in your primal state. You'll never be in the Christ image. You'll never be in the Father's image and have the God-given gift, divine power to command nature. Cancer, stage 4 cancer, spat it out, cured it. Every single genetic process, right, infected to the shithouse and threw it out. If I can do it, so can you.